The gravel crunched under Alex's boots like the shattering of his last fragile hope as he stormed out of the old barn, the word freak still echoing from his father's lips. Rain lashed his face, mixing with tears he refused to acknowledge, while behind him, the family he'd trusted turned their backs, their betrayal a knife deeper than any coming-out confession. In that moment, with the Iowa skyline bleeding into the storm, Alex swore he'd vanish into the city's indifferent sprawl, leaving the farm and his broken heart 6 feet under the cornfields. He'd always known loving boys instead of girls made him an outsider in Willow Creek, a speck of a town where the wind whispered judgments through the endless rows of golden stalks. But last night, after years of hiding, he'd finally told them. His parents, his older brother Jake, even sweet Aunt Clara who'd baked him pies since he was knee-high. The silence had been worse than screams at first, a heavy blanket smothering the kitchen air. Then Dad's face had twisted, veins bulging like twisted roots, and he'd hurled that word, freak, followed by accusations of ruining the family name, of dragging their God-fearing legacy through the mud. Jake, who was supposed to have his back after all those late-night talks about dreams beyond the farm, had just nodded, eyes averted, muttering about choosing a path that ain't right. Aunt Clara had wept silently, her hands wringing the dish towel like it could squeeze out forgiveness that wasn't coming. Alex grabbed his duffel from the truck bed, the one packed with nothing but faded jeans, a few threadbare tees, and the Polaroid of him and his high school crush, Tommy, grinning under the county fair lights, before Tommy had ghosted him senior year, whispering rumors that painted Alex as the town deviant. He slung it over his shoulder and started walking, thumb out for any passing rig that might carry him east, toward Chicago or New York, anywhere the horizon didn't end in judgmental stares. The first trucker who stopped was a grizzled vet with a Confederate flag sticker peeling off his dash, but Alex bit his tongue and climbed in, the diesel rumble drowning out the ache in his chest. Headed far, the man grunted. As far as the road'll take me, Alex replied, staring out at the blurring fields, each mile a severance from the boy he'd been. By dawn, he'd hit Des Moines, trading the ride for a Greyhound ticket that drained his savings to scraps. The bus wheezed through Nebraska's flat expanse, then Missouri's rolling hills, depositing him in St. Louis under a sky bruised purple. He crashed in a shelter that night, the concrete floor harder than the hayloft back home, surrounded by murmurs of lost souls chasing their own ghosts. Sleep came in fits, haunted by Dad's bellow and Jake's betrayal, the sting of rejection festering like an untreated wound. Why couldn't they see him? The same Alex who'd fixed fences at dawn, who'd hauled hay bales until his shoulders screamed, who'd dreamed of college scholarships that never materialized because farm life demanded hands, not hearts. Days blurred into a haze of odd jobs. Washing dishes in a diner where the cook eyed him suspiciously, stocking shelves at a warehouse where whispers followed his every move. He kept his head down, his flannel shirts loose to hide the leanness born of skipped meals, but the city's pulse, its honking taxis, its glittering billboards, felt like a siren's call laced with poison. One evening, nursing a coffee in a dingy internet cafe, he typed LGBT Support Chicago into a borrowed laptop, the screen's glow illuminating forums alive with stories that mirrored his own. Kids cast out, families fractured, but also threads of hope. Communities where love wasn't a sin, but a strength. It ignited something fierce in him, a spark against the dark. He scraped together bus fare and headed north again, landing in the windy city with $20 and a resolve forged in isolation. Chicago swallowed him whole. The Loop's skyscrapers loomed like judgmental giants, but the neighborhoods, Boys Town's rainbow flags fluttering defiantly, offered glimpses of belonging. He found a roommate gig in Wicker Park, sharing a shoebox apartment with Lena, a tattooed lesbian barista who sized him up over her pierced eyebrow and declared, "You look like you need a hug and a hustle. Rent's due Friday." Her no-nonsense warmth cracked his shell just enough to breathe, and soon they were splitting shifts at her cafe, her trading barbs about his cowboy drawl for his knack with latte art. But trust was a fragile thing. Alex flinched at compliments, scanned crowds for familiar faces from the farm, half expecting Jake to drag him back. Nights were the worst, when the city's hum faded to a whisper and memories clawed their way in. He'd lie on his lumpy mattress, staring at the cracked ceiling, replaying the barn scene. Dad's Bible thumping the table like a gavel, Mom's averted eyes hiding her own quiet disapproval. Had she ever suspected? The way she'd linger when tucking him in, her hand brushing his hair a beat too long? Or was that just wishful thinking from a boy desperate for one ally? And Tommy, God, Tommy's laugh had been sunlight on pond water, but his panic after their first fumbling kiss had spread like prairie fire, turning Alex into the villain of whispered tales. Betrayal layered on betrayal, until running felt like the only air left to breathe. One crisp October afternoon, as leaves skittered across Milwaukee Avenue like fleeing secrets, Alex ducked into a thrift shop to escape the chill. Racks of musty coats and mismatched shoes offered temporary armor, and he lost himself flipping through vinyl records, fingers tracing album spines for solace in strangers' forgotten tastes. That's when he spotted it, a faded photo album tucked on a bottom shelf, its cover warped from years of neglect. Curiosity pulled him to a nearby stool, and he cracked it open, the pages creaking like old bones. Black and white snapshots of a bygone era stared back. Families picnicking by lakes, kids in overalls chasing fireflies, but one image snagged his breath. A group of young men, early 20s maybe, arms slung around shoulders in a barnyard, grins wide under straw hats. Scribbled on the border in looping script, Summer 95, Ethan, Jake, and the crew. Miss ya, Alex. His name. Here, in this dusty relic from another life. Heart hammering. He traced the ink, the letters blurring as panic surged. Who was Ethan? And why did the man in the center, with sharp jaw and eyes like storm clouds, look at the camera with a hunger that echoed his own hidden longings? The photo trembled in his grip, a ghost from a past he didn't remember, or maybe one Jake had buried deep. Had his brother kept secrets too? The shop bell jingled, snapping him back, but as he slipped the album under his jacket, intending to buy it later, promising himself, he felt the first twist of fate's cruel hook, pulling him toward truths he'd fled across state lines to escape. Weeks passed in a fever of unanswered questions, the photo album becoming Alex's clandestine talisman, hidden under his mattress like a forbidden lover's letter. He'd pore over it by flashlight after Lena's snores filled the apartment, decoding faded captions and ghostly faces for clues to this Ethan, whose name evoked a phantom ache. The picture from 95 showed a tighter-knit group than his own fractured family ever was. Jake younger, unscarred by resentment, laughing with an ease Alex envied. Ethan stood out, even in grainy monochrome, tall, broad-shouldered, with a gaze that pierced the paper, as if challenging the viewer to look away. What connected them? A summer job on the farm? A fleeting friendship Jake never mentioned? The uncertainty gnawed, mingling with the daily grind of survival. Endless cafe shifts where tips barely covered the rent, and volunteer nights at a local LGBTQ center, where he facilitated groups for queer youth, pouring his pain into guiding others through theirs. It was at one such meeting, under the fluorescent buzz of the center's basement, that Alex first voiced the betrayal aloud. "My dad called me a freak," he said to the circle of wide-eyed teens, his voice cracking like dry earth. Like I was some monster he'd birthed by accident. And my brother, he just stood there. The room held its collective breath, then erupted in nods and shared scars, stories of disownment, of bridges burned in holy fire. For the first time, Alex felt seen, not as a pariah but as a survivor, his wounds a map others navigated too. Lena dragged him out for beers afterward, her arm looped through his in sisterly solidarity. "You're tougher than that corn-fed bullshit, farm boy," she toasted. "But don't let it calcify you. Hearts heal if you let them crack open." Yet healing felt distant when a letter arrived, postmarked Willow Creek, Jake's scrawl on the envelope like a brand. Alex's hands shook as he slid it open in the park, autumn wind whipping the pages. "Alex, I know you're gone, and maybe that's for the best. Dad's sorry, in his way, says he spoke in anger. Come home. The farm needs you. Jay, sorry. After the slurs, the shunning, it reeked of damage control, Dad's pride too stubborn for real amends, Jake's loyalty a chain disguised as olive branch. He tore it to shreds, scattering the confetti on the wind, but the words lodged like thorns, drawing blood in quiet moments. Across the country, In the glass-towered penthouse of Manhattan's skyline, Ethan Hargrove stared at the same damned photo, its edges yellowed from decades in a forgotten box unearthed during a warehouse purge for his latest acquisition. At 42, Ethan was a titan of tech, his empire built on algorithms that predicted consumer whims before they whispered them. But personal connections? Those were glitches in his code. The photo had surfaced amid dusty ledgers from his brief, rebellious stint as a ranch hand in Iowa summers ago, a desperate bid to escape boarding school isolation and his own unspoken desires. There, amid the crew, was Jake Harlan, the farm owner's son, all easy charm and hidden depths. And next to him, the kid, Alex, whose quiet intensity had lingered in Ethan's mind like a half-remembered dream. Scrawled below, Summer 95, Ethan, Jake, and the crew. Miss ya, Alex. Why had Jake written that? A joke? A confession? Ethan had left abruptly that fall, boarding school calling him back to groomed futures, but the miss ya hinted at layers peeled away too soon. Now, Billionaire solitude amplified the intrigue. His days blurred in boardrooms and galas, where arm candy dates, men and women alike, served as shields against prying eyes questioning his perpetual singledom. Whispers followed. Hargrove's married to the money, or crueler. What's a guy like that hiding? Ethan buried the loneliness in philanthropy, funding LGBTQ shelters from afar, a vicarious atonement for the boy who'd never come out to his venture capitalist parents, now long gone in a yacht accident that left him their fortune and their secrets. But this photo? It demanded action. He tasked his assistant, a sharp-witted queer woman named Riley, with digging. Find Jake Harlan in Iowa, discreetly, and see if there's an Alex attached. Riley's report landed a week later, a dossier thicker than Ethan's conscience. Jake ran the family farm, widowed young, 2 kids in tow, church deacon on Sundays. No mention of a brother. Alex had vanished post-high school, whispers of a falling out in town lore. Ethan paced his office, the city sprawl a glittering distraction below, pulse quickening at the void. Who was Alex now? Had time tempered the spark Ethan remembered from stolen glances over hay bales, conversations that veered too close to confessions? He booked a flight to Chicago on impulse. Business pretext, a tech summit. But really, it was a pilgrimage to a name on faded paper, chasing the ghost of what-ifs. Their paths crossed not in some scripted serendipity, but in the chaos of a protest march snaking through Chicago's streets. Alex, placard hoisted high. Love wins, hate divides, chanted with the throng against a wave of anti-LGBTQ bills slithering through statehouses. The air crackled with defiance, rainbow flags snapping like battle standards, until a counter-protest erupted, slurs flying like shrapnel. In the melee, Alex shoved a sign-wielding bigot away from a teen activist, earning a fist to the jaw that sent him sprawling into the gutter. Dazed, blood trickling from his lip, he looked up to see a hand extended, strong, steady, attached to a man in a tailored wool coat that screamed old money. Easy there, the stranger said, voice low and steady as a heartbeat. Alex grasped it, hauling up, and froze. Storm-cloud eyes, sharp jaw. Ethan. You. Alex breathed, the words slipping out before sense caught up. Ethan's brow furrowed, recognition flickering like a faulty bulb. Do I know you? The crowd surged around them, chants drowning details, but in that suspended beat, past and present collided, betrayals unspoken, longings unearthed. Alex pulled away, wiping blood on his sleeve, heart a war drum. Just another face in the fight, he muttered, melting into the march before Ethan could press. But as he glanced back, the billionaire's gaze followed, intense, searching, the photo's promise igniting in real time. Fate, it seemed, had a penchant for drama, and neither man was ready for the curtain's rise. Ethan couldn't shake the encounter, the young man's green eyes, haunted, familiar, lingering like an algorithm refusing to resolve. Back in his hotel suite overlooking Lake Michigan, he pored over Riley's dossier again, flipping to a grainy yearbook scan. Alex Harlan, class of 2010, Willow Creek High. The jawline matched, softer then, but unmistakable. Heart racing, he cross-referenced the protest footage circulating online, pausing on a frame where Alex's face turned just so. It was him. The farm kid from Jake's photo, all grown into a fighter with scars etched in his stance. Why Chicago? What storms had chased him from Iowa? Ethan fired off a text to Riley. Deeper dive. Current whereabouts. And Jake, call him. Say it's about old times. Meanwhile, Alex nursed his split lip in the apartment bathroom, Lena hovering with ice and invectives. Who was that suit? Looked like he wanted to buy you a castle or bench press you. Pick your poison. Alex dodged, mumbling about adrenaline, but inside, turmoil churned. Ethan's face had unlocked a vault. Summers Jake barely mentioned. A drifter hand named Ethan who'd fixed tractors with wizardry and told stories of city lights that painted stars dull. Alex had been 15, idolizing from afar, Jake confiding later that Ethan was different, like us maybe. Had Jake known? The letter's plea echoed, come home, and now this ghost appearing like Judgment Day. He dreamed that night of haylofts and half-spoken truths, waking sweat-soaked, the photo album clutched like a lifeline. The next day brought a summons Alex couldn't ignore, a call from the center's director, voice laced with awe. Alex, we've got a donor, Big Fish, wants to meet the volunteer coordinator. Tomorrow, gala fundraiser. Black tie if you can swing it. Thrift store blazer it was. Then, starched shirt hiding his calloused hands. The venue glittered, chandeliers dripping light over tuxedoed elites sipping champagne, rainbow pins glinting like defiant jewels. Alex circulated awkwardly, pitching programs to skeptical socialites, until a shadow fell across his path. Ethan, glass in hand, smile polished but eyes raw. Fancy meeting you here. Still fighting the good fight. Alex's throat tightened. Always. You. Ethan's laugh was low, genuine. From the other side of the fence, mostly. Funding the ammo, not firing it. Conversation flowed like contraband wine. Ethan probing gently about Iowa roots. Alex parrying with cafe anecdotes. The air thick with unsaid recognitions. Ever been to Willow Creek? Ethan asked casually, too casually. Alex's guard spiked. Born and raised. Left ashes behind. The vagueness hung, until Ethan pulled a slim wallet photo, the same 95 snapshot miniaturized. This Jake your kin. Alex's world tilted. Brother. How? Ethan's confession tumbled. The box, the dig, the flight of curiosity. I worked your farm one summer. Jake was a friend. You were the kid with the quick laugh and quicker temper. Alex right. The name on his lips was a spark to tinder, igniting memories Alex had suppressed. Watching Ethan from barn shadows, heart fluttering at a shared wink. But trust fractured fast. When Ethan suggested dinner, to catch up on lost years, Alex balked. Excuses tumbling. Got shifts. Rain check. He fled to Lena's dive bar confessional that night, spilling the surreal tale over whiskeys. Billionaire ghost from my brother's past? Smells like setup. Maybe Jake sent him to reel me in. Lena's eyes narrowed. Or maybe it's kismet, dumbass. But vet him. I've got a friend in journalism. Her contact unearthed headlines. Ethan's empire, his discreet donations to queer causes, rumors of a guarded heart post-family tragedy. No red flags, but the wealth gap yawned like a chasm, stirring Alex's old insecurities, farm dirt versus penthouse polish. Their second meeting was serendipity's cruel joke, a blizzard blanketing Chicago, stranding Alex at the cafe after closing. Ethan appeared like a specter, offering a ride in his chauffeured Escalade. Fate's got a sense of humor, he quipped, settling into leather seats that smelled of success and solitude. The drive stretched, snow muffling the world, confessions slipping free. Ethan spoke first, voice rough. I knew I was gay at 12, but Dad's world, deals, expectations, left no room. That summer on your farm? It was oxygen. Alex mirrored, haltingly. The hiding, the crushes, the barn's final storm. They called me freak. Like love's a disease. Ethan's hand brushed his on the gear shift, accidental, electric, and in that touch, barriers cracked, vulnerability blooming like frost flowers on glass. Yet dawn brought clarity's cold edge. At drop-off, Alex hesitated. Us connecting, it's too neat. What if Jake put you up to it? Luring the prodigal with silver spoons. Ethan's face shadowed. I'd never. But call him. Clear the air. Alex nodded, but doubt festered, a seed of misunderstanding watered by isolation's rain. Days later, Jake's voice crackled over the line, feigned warmth masking strain. Heard from Ethan? Good man. Told him to look you up. Figured you needed friends in the big city. The lie landed like a slap, confirmation bias twisting truth. Alex hung up, fury boiling. Betrayal sequel, Jake puppeteering from afar, Ethan the unwitting bait. He ghosted the billionaire's texts, burrowing into work and warnings, blind to the genuine spark flickering out. Ethan reeled from the silence, rejection's echo amplifying old wounds. He confronted Jake in a tense video call, cornfields framing the farmer's weary face. You sick me on your brother? After what? Jake sighed, rubbing stubble. Didn't sick. Just mentioned you might check in. He's hurting, Ethan. Dad's words cut deep, but family's blood. The half-truths grated, Jake omitting his own complicity, the shunning he'd enabled. Ethan ended the call, resolve hardening. He'd find Alex, not as emissary, but as equal, unraveling the knots of prejudice binding them all. But as he boarded his jet back to New York, a tabloid alert pinged. Hargrove Heir's secret past exposed? Grainy photos from the gala, speculation swirling about his mystery companion. The press storm brewed, threatening to drown their fragile bridge before it spanned. The scandal hit like a Midwest twister, headlines screaming billionaire's boy toy. Who is the Iowa enigma? Paparazzi swarmed Alex's cafe, flashes popping like gunfire, turning coffee runs into gauntlets. He barricaded the door, heart pounding, Lena wielding a rolling pin like Excalibur. This your Ethan's doing? Publicity stunt for his bleeding heart. Alex shook his head, denial crumbling under evidence. A leaked gala photo, his arm brushing Ethan's in innocent proximity, spun into tabloid gold. Calls flooded, from reporters hungry for the farm boy rags to riches angle, from Jake pleading ignorance. Didn't know it'd blow up like this, bro. Come home, we can fix it. Fix it. The offer reeked of control, Dad's shadow looming in every syllable. Alex smashed his burner phone, the shatter cathartic, but isolation closed in, a noose of speculation tightening. Ethan, ensconced in crisis mode, fielded boardroom fallout, investors balking at distractions, allies urging damage control. He went nuclear, a press release owning his queerness outright, no qualifiers, a thunderclap silencing whispers. My personal life is private, but my support for LGBTQ rights is not. It read, laced with veiled nods to Alex's fight. The move backfired spectacularly. Supporters hailed him a hero. Detractors branded him a predator preying on vulnerable youth. Alone in his tower, Ethan nursed regret, the photo now a cursed relic on his desk. He'd meant to protect, but ignorance of Alex's scars, the raw edges of disownment, had amplified them. A late-night call to Riley. Proxy him. Tell him I'm sorry. No strings. The message reached Alex via center channels, neutral ground where he'd retreated for solace. Reading it under the director's sympathetic gaze, tears pricked, not from weakness, but recognition of shared fragility. Ethan wasn't the villain. He was a mirror, reflecting the boy Alex had buried under layers of self-preservation. That evening, he ventured to a quiet bistro in Lincoln Park, the one Ethan had texted coordinates for, nerves jangling like loose fence wire. The billionaire waited at a corner booth, uncharacteristically rumpled, vulnerability etching lines around his eyes. I fucked up. Ethan started, no preamble. Thought transparency would shield us. Didn't clock the collateral. Alex slid in opposite, voice steady despite the storm inside. Us? Bold assumption. But, yeah, it hurts, seeing my pain splashed for clicks. Dialogue unfurled like a long overdue harvest, layers peeling to reveal tender cores. Ethan confessed the farm summer's impact. Jake's tentative flirtations, quickly rebuffed in panic, but Alex's quiet presence a balm, hinting at futures beyond fear. You were hope incarnate, even then. Alex reciprocated, unveiling the barn's carnage. Dad's rage rooted in his own repressed history, a grandfather's suicide whispered as shame. He saw me as his echo, a curse revisited. Jake? He chose the farm over me, blood over brother. The words hung, cathartic poison draining, until laughter bubbled, absurd, healing, at shared anecdotes of small-town hypocrisies. Hands met across the table, deliberate now, fingers interlacing in silent vow. Not passion's blaze, but embers of profound connection, emotions coiling deep. But peace was fleeting. Prejudice's tentacles reached far. Back at the apartment, Alex found a package, anonymous, heavy with malice. Printouts of forum posts from Willow Creek, venomous threads outing him as the gay who abandoned family. Doctored photos splicing his face onto explicit fakes. A note: monsters don't deserve love. Go back to your sugar daddy. Paranoia spiked. Jake's doing? Or Dad's desperate gambit? He confided in Ethan over hurried calls. The billionaire's voice a anchor. We'll trace it. You're not alone. Investigation via Ethan's network pinpointed a local busybody, a deacon's wife with a grudge, her posts a witch hunt veiled in piety. Legal cease and desists flew, but the damage lingered, eroding Alex's fragile trust in reconciliation. Twists mounted when Jake appeared unannounced at the center, travel-worn and contrite, kids' drawings clutched like peace flags. Saw the news. Came to apologize for everything. The brothers collided in a hug fraught with years' weight, tears salting old wounds. Jake spilled his own buried queerness, suppressed for farm and family. The 95 photo a memento of what he'd lost with Ethan, and feared losing with Alex. I betrayed you to save myself. Cowardice. Forgiveness teetered, Alex's heart warring between blood's pull and pain's push. Prove it. Stand with me, publicly. Jake nodded, resolve flickering, but as he left, a shadow of doubt. Was it genuine, or guilt's theater? Ethan, witnessing from afar via video link, felt the relational vortex pull. His affection for Alex deepened, not as savior but partner, yet class chasms loomed. Whispers at fundraisers of slumming it. Ethan's board pushing for a suitable match to quash rumors. Internal conflict raged. Love versus legacy. Authenticity against empire. A clandestine weekend getaway to a Lake Michigan cabin tested bonds. Firelit talks dissecting prejudices, from rural bigotry to urban elitism. They navigated emotional minefields, Alex voicing fears of being kept, Ethan bearing loneliness's abyss. Intimacy built in stolen glances, a brush of shoulders, the unspoken promise of more when trust solidified. But as they returned, a bombshell awaited. Ethan's ex, a vengeful venture partner, leaked fabricated claims of coercion, twisting their story into predation narrative. The media frenzy reignited, threatening to bury their budding love under avalanche of lies. The accusation detonated like dynamite in a silo. Hargrove coerces vulnerable activist, blaring across outlets, twisting Ethan's coming out into predator's cloak. Alex, blindsided at a center meeting, watched his face splashed beside mugshot-style shots of Ethan, nausea rising. Calls poured in. Lena's fury, Jake's frantic denials. But the deepest cut was self-doubt. Was he just a pawn in some billionaire's redemption arc? He vanished into Chicago's underbelly, crashing on a friend's couch in Pilsen, murals of defiant saints mocking his turmoil. Nights blurred in dive bars, nursing beers and brooding. The photo album his sole companion. Ethan's younger self a reminder of innocence lost. What if it's true? He whispered to reflections in grimy mirrors, prejudices poison seeping. The farm boy's worth tied to whispers, not substance. Ethan fought fire with fury, lawyering up to eviscerate the ex's claims. Fabricated emails debunked, motives exposed as sour grapes from a failed merger. Publicly, he doubled down, a raw interview with a queer outlet. This isn't about me. It's about silencing survivors like Alex, who fled hate only to face it amplified. The pivot shifted tides, allies rallying, but privately, despair clawed. He paced empty halls, the penthouse a gilded cage, regretting the spotlight's curse. Riley urged outreach. Go to him. Words on wind won't cut it. Ethan drove through the night, snow-slick roads mirroring his resolve, arriving at the Pilsen walk-up unannounced, coat dusted white. Alex opened the door, guarded, green eyes stormy. You shouldn't be here. It's feeding the beast. Words failed. Ethan stepped inside, closing the gap with presence alone. They sat on a sagging sofa, silence a bridge they crossed tentatively. I never coerced. Never would. Ethan vowed, voice breaking. But I get why it looks that way. Power imbalances my blindness to your world. Alex's walls trembled, recounting the package's terror, the forums while reviving Dad's slurs. Feels like I'm always the villain's prop. Ethan's hand found his, steady. Then let's rewrite the script. Together. Vulnerability peaked in shared tears, confessions cascading. Ethan's fear of abandonment echoing his parents' loss, Alex's terror of unworthiness rooted in farmyard rejections. In that raw exchange, love crystallized, not fairy tale gloss, but gritty forge, emotions intertwining like vines claiming ruin. External tempests raged on. Jake, back in Iowa, faced his own reckoning. Dad's health crumbling from a stroke, guilt's confessor demanding amends. He outed himself in a church sermon, voice quavering. I've hidden my heart to fit your mold, but it broke my brother's worse. Backlash erupted. Deacons decrying heresy, neighbors shunning. But a core rallied, Aunt Clara at forefront, her quiet faith a beacon. Family heals when honest, she told Jake, then called Alex. Your dad's asking for you. Not orders, plea. The olive branch tempted, but scars suppurated. Alex wavered, consulting Ethan, whose counsel was wisdom incarnate. Go if it frees you. I'll stand guard. The Harlan farm loomed under winter's pall, snow blanketing fields like unspoken sins. Alex arrived by train, hard-armored, Ethan a phone lifeline. Dad lay frail in the kitchen, oxygen mask fogging his apologies. Saw you on the news. Proud, son. Wish I'd said it sooner. The words, whispered, unlocked floods. Embraces, recriminations aired like laundry online. Jake joined, triad mending in halting steps, revelations flowing. Dad's own youthful crush quashed by Ira's boot, passed down as prohibition. Forgiveness bloomed tentative, a seedling in frost, but real. As Alex departed, Jake slipped the original '95 album. Ethan kept his copy. Yours now. Honor it. Return to Chicago brought euphoria's high. Ethan waiting at Union Station with roses and restraint, their reunion a quiet claim. Dinner in a hidden speakeasy, talks veering to futures. But climax brewed in shadows. Ethan's ex, unbowed by lawsuits, escalated with a planted story, alleging Alex's gold digging via forged chats. The twist gutted. Evidence implicated Riley as unwitting leak source, her access betrayed by a hacked email. Betrayal's echo resounded. Ethan firing her in anguish, only for her tearful truth, framed the ex's sabotage deeper. Investigation unearthed the plot, a rival firm's ploy to tank Ethan's stock via scandal. Fury united them. Ethan went scorched earth, whistleblowers flipping, the ex arrested for fraud. Amid ashes, their bond tempered to steel. Alex, evolved from fugitive to force, co-authored an op-ed, From Farm Betrayal to Billionaire Lies. Love's True Enemies. It went viral, prejudices confronted head-on, drawing queer youth to the center in droves. Twists resolved in unexpected graces. Jake visiting with kids, farm tales bridging urban-rural rifts. Dad's letters, pinned weekly, chronicling growth. Ethan's empire stabilized, board yielding to his authenticity. Funding surges for causes close to Alex's heart. Yet the pinnacle loomed, a national gala honoring LGBTQ trailblazers, Ethan and Alex as co-presenters. Backstage, nerves jangled, ghosts of scandals, family specters, but hand in hand, they stepped to podium, voices entwining in tribute to resilience. The applause thundered, a crescendo of acceptance, but true climax unfolded privately after. Rooftop under stars, Ethan on one knee, not with ring but vow. No empires, no escapes, just us, building from ruins. Alex pulled him up, kiss ceiling packed, profound, chaste, emotions cresting in waves of certainty. Love, they'd learned, wasn't absence of storm, but dancing in lightning. Spring thawed Chicago's grip, mirroring the slow melt in Alex's guarded heart. Months post-gala, their rhythm settled into something profound. Mornings tangled in Ethan's sheets, not in haste, but savoring silences where words failed. Afternoons at the center, Alex directing expansions funded by Ethan's quiet generosity, turning pain into pillars. Yet depth bred vulnerability. Alex's nightmares of abandonment resurfacing on anniversary shadows of the barn. Ethan's insomnia from boardroom battles echoing parental voids. They'd navigate with therapy tandem, sessions dissecting prejudice's roots. Alex unpacking rural shame's script, Ethan confronting wealth's isolating armor. "You're my unscripted chapter," Ethan murmured one dusk, fingers tracing Alex's knuckles like braille of belonging. Friendships wove safety nets. Lena, now cafe manager, hosted queer family dinners, her barbs softening to endearments. Jake's video cameos adding rustic humor, his kids dubbing Ethan Uncle Fancy Pants. Aunt Clara's packages arrived seasonally. Pies laced with notes of unwavering love, bridging divides. But conflicts simmered subtle. Ethan's world pulling with galas where microaggressions lurked. Charming charity case, barbs veiled as compliments, testing Alex's poise. He'd retreat to Wicker Park walks, journaling fury into fuel, emerging fiercer. Ethan learned listening over fixing, their arguments, raw, rare, ending in embraces that reaffirmed. Love as verb, active defiance against doubt. A surprise twist arrived via mail. A letter from Tommy, the high school ghost, postmarked California. "Saw your story. Owe you apologies. My fear hurt us both. Proud of the man you became." Attached, a clipping of Tommy's own coming-out op-ed, catalyst for Alex's reflection. He shared it with Ethan over wine, tears mingling with mirth. "Closures I didn't seek." Ethan nodded, his own unearthed. A box from boarding school days, letters from a first crush crushed by circumstance. We're collectors of almosts, turning them to always. The exchange deepened intimacy, emotions layering like sedimentary truth, trust as bedrock, affection as vein of gold. Summer brought Iowa pilgrimage, Alex's idea, reconciliation's next act. The farm bloomed vibrant, corn whispering welcomes, dad ambulatory now, grip firm and handshake turned hug. "Missed your hands in the soil," he gruffed, eyes wet. Jake grilled steaks under stars, stories flowing freer. 95 tales including Ethan's tractor heroics, laughter easing old tensions. Ethan fit awkwardly at first, city polish clashing with dirt roads, but endeared via kid wrangling and fence mending, earning Jake's nod. "You're good for him." Evenings by the fire pit forged bonds, prejudices aired like smoke. Dad admitting generational curses, Jake vowing allyship beyond blood. Alex watched, heart full, the boy who'd fled finding home not in place but people. Back east, professional crescendos crested. Alex's center launched a national hotline, his testimony at congressional hearings a clarion call against discrimination bills, voice steady, eyes locked on Ethan's front row support. Applause echoed, but backstage collapse came, panic attacks vice, breath shallow against triumph's weight. Ethan held him through it, whispers grounding. "You've carried worlds. Let me share the load." Vulnerability's gift, deeper empathy, their love evolving to encompass ambitions intertwined. Ethan mentoring queer startups, Alex consulting on inclusive tech. Yet climax's shadow loomed in autumn's amber. Ethan's health scare, a routine check flagging arrhythmia, stress's toll. Hospital sterile, Alex's vigil a anchor, fears surfacing, loss's specter reviving farm betrayals. "Can't lose you before we begin," Alex choked. Ethan, pale but defiant, quipped, "Then pace me, farm boy. Marathons, not sprints." Recovery reframed priorities. Sabbatical in a Vermont cabin, days of unhurried hikes, nights scripting futures, adoptions pondered, travels dreamed. Emotions peaked in quiet oaths. "Your heart's my compass," Ethan vowed, palm over Alex's pulse. Resolutions rippled outward. Jake's farm thrived with queer inclusive hires, a model dismantling rural myths. Dad's church evolved, sermons on love's breath drawing diverse flocks. Tommy's outreach sparked a support network, threads weaving unexpected kin. For Ethan and Alex, denouement was daily grace. A New Year's Eve under Times Square's glow, not spectacle but sanctuary, rings exchanged in private ceremony, simple bands etched with 95 coordinates. Vows exchanged. Through betrayals and billions, I choose you. The kiss sealed eternity's promise, love's arc bending from fracture to wholeness. Years hence, their story echoed in memoirs and mentorships, a testament. Prejudice yields to persistence, misunderstandings to mercy, betrayals to bonds unbreakable. In a world still storm-tossed, they stood, farm boy and billionaire, hands clasped, hearts aligned, proving love's quiet revolution outshines any spotlight.